Let us now proceed and check out what is this keyword. Now for that purpose, let us now close doc.java, and now within the rectangle.java, if you notice that within our constructor I have defined float L and float B. Now what if I change the name to length, and here as well let us change it to breadth. Now if you notice that here I have length, so let us again change it to this length, right? And again let us change from B to breadth, like this. But if you notice here that here it shows some error. The left hand side and right hand side are actually equal. Now in Java, whenever we define any variable within a method or within a constructor, the compiler always gives more priority to the local variable, that is this float length and this float breadth. So the compiler assumes that this length and this length is equal to this length right here. And the same thing applies to the breadth as well here, right? But our purpose is that on the left hand side we should have this length instance variable, and similarly for breadth as well we should have this instance variable of breadth. So how can we make compiler understand that we want this length to be our instance variable, not this local length variable? So for that purpose we have the this keyword. So let us use this dot length, and again for breadth let us use this dot breadth. Now this makes the compiler understand that by using this dot length we refer to this float length instance variable, and the same thing applies to the breadth variable that we have defined here, right? And the length on the right hand side is actually referring to the local length variable that we have defined here, and same thing applies to the breadth as well. And similarly here again if I change this to length, then again we need to use this dot length equal to the local length variable that we are receiving here. Now what exactly we mean by this keyword? Now for that we again need to go to main.java. Here if you notice we have rectangle r1 equal to new rectangle. So here we have r1 reference variable. Now if I tell you that r1 is actually equal to this keyword, that is, whatever this keyword that we are using within our rectangle class is actually referring to the current instance. So this keyword can be replaced by r1 and here again r1, like this. So r1 dot length, r1 dot breadth, and so on like this, right? But if you notice here, the compiler simply complains the r1 is not defined within our class rectangle. And yes, that is true because we have defined the r1 within our main.java class. So the compiler don't understand which r1 you are referring to here, right? So for that purpose, in order to access the r1 within our class of rectangle, we have a special keyword of this. So whenever you encounter the this keyword in Java, then always flash the reference variable in your memory. So here r1 is equivalent to this. Now let us come to this part, rectangle r2 equal to new rectangle. Now in this case we have the r2 reference variable equal to this. So whenever this statement is executed r2 dot length, this simply means that this dot length that is actually referring to r2. So in order to access the r2 within the rectangle.java, we use the this keyword. So always remember, this keyword refers to the current reference variable or the current object you can say. And now let us take our discussion one step ahead. Suppose from within the default constructor you want to call this constructor. So for that again what you will do, for this rectangle r1 we again here need to use r1 dot, let's say, this rectangle. So let us use rectangle and pass the float length. So here I will use, let's say, 20.4f, like this. Now the compiler simply complains it doesn't know what this r1 stands for. So whenever you want to use the reference variable within the class itself, so always use the this keyword. Now here again this dot rectangle doesn't mean anything in Java because we want to call the constructor, right? So in place of this, simply use this followed by bracket open and close, like this, and let us pass the parameter. So this statement will simply trigger this parameterized constructor. And now Similarly, if you want to trigger this constructor, so for that again you need to pass the second parameter as well. Let's call it breadth as 10.2f. So when this statement will be executed, it will simply trigger this constructor, right? Like this. So this was all about the this keyword in Java.